So you finally caught that hiking bug. You're ready to get out on the trail and have some epic adventures. But where do you begin? I mean, what size backpack do you need? What type of footwear? What kind of safety supplies do you need? What kind of gear should you be packing? All of these questions add up, and for some people, it can become overwhelming and become a bit of a barrier to entry to hiking in itself. Well, I'm here to tell you folks, the mystery is solved. I'm going to give you some very basic essentials that you need to make sure you have with you anytime you head out into the backcountry. That's if it's a 2-hour hike, a 2-day hike, or an epic through hike of a lifetime. There's some basic requirements that we should all carry with us in our packs in order to assure a safe hike and a more enjoyable one. Probably the most obvious place for us to start would be a backpack, right? You need a place to store the gear that you're going to take with you out on your backcountry adventure. And for a day hike, a 20-liter pack seems to be just about perfect for me. I know some folks like smaller bags, some folks like bigger bags. What I found is, depending on the size of the bag, that's how much gear I brought with me. For the longest time, I was using a 40-liter pack, and I found that I always had it full. Now that I've downsized to a 20-liter pack, I've been able to reduce my kit to just the essential items and still keep my creature comforts. It's managed to lighten my load substantially, which makes it easier for me to go multiple miles without having any fatigue. So a good sturdy backpack. It doesn't mean you need to buy a high-end expensive pack, but definitely make sure it's well fitted and is durable for whatever adventure you're headed out on. The next item we're going to want to focus on is footwear. Proper footwear is key to a long, successful hike. If you have ill-fitted shoes or you're wearing just bad socks, you're going to find that heat sores or blisters are going to develop, and then you're going to have a miserable time out there on the trail. Avoid cotton at all costs. I know we grew up wearing cotton socks, but the reality is they're just not a good breathable material to wear when you're out on a hike. I would recommend looking at an alpaca or a standard merino wool sock. There's all kinds of great alternative options out there. Just do your research, try them on, wear them throughout the day, and see if they fit for you. When it comes down to shoes or boots, do the same thing. Head into your local outfitter and have them measure your feet and fit you to a proper fitted shoe. I personally have wide feet, so I always look for a wide fitting toe box that allows my feet to rest in a comfortable position and keep my shoes from slipping around while I walk. Good footwear is essential. Don't skimp on that one. You may have to spend a few extra dollars, but I guarantee you're going to be thankful that you did at the end of a long hike. Living here in the Pacific Northwest, you never know what the weather is going to do. It could be a beautiful sunny afternoon and then start raining with no warning. So I always make sure I have a lightweight, packable raincoat with me at all times. This is another item you're going to want to do your research and make sure you get one that's got a good breathable quality, but a great water resistance also. I personally have been carrying this North Face jacket for well over a decade. It's certainly seen better days, but it's been a good, trusted jacket for several years, and hopefully several more years to come. Continuing on with the clothing, it's also always a great idea to have some backup clothes, again, just in case the weather changes. This time of year, being early spring, it can get really cold when you're not prepared. So I always make sure I have a packable puffy jacket with me, a hat in the event that I start getting chilly and I've got to hunker down for a while, a spare pair of socks, and some good base layer. And again, this is a nice breathable poly blend base layer. It allows the moisture to wick away from your body. And let's not forget a set of rain pants. These are just some lightweight bicycle rain pants that I've had. I use them on my biking trips and my hiking adventure. Very rarely do I have to pull them out, but boy am I glad when I have them. Let's talk about safety next. Safety is a critical aspect to having a successful hike, and everybody should have some form of a first aid kit in their backpack at all times. Now, I mean all times. If you're going to play in the park or you're headed out for a weekend adventure, you should still have a first aid kit with you. Granted, there are a lot of different varieties of first aid kits out there, so choose wisely and make sure you have the kit that works for what you're doing. This one, for example, is a very simple personal kit. It includes some sutures, band-aids, a little bit of gauze, and that's about it. This is a great option if you're out there just for an afternoon hike by yourself. A larger kit involved if you're out with a group hike. It's a far more elaborate kit, definitely has more to it. It's a little bit heavier, so you choose which one you want as long as you have some form of a first aid kit with you. Now, nearly every first aid kit should have some form of an emergency shelter or emergency blanket. There are as many different options on emergency blankets as there are first aid kits and backpacks. I have here two different options. This is a bivy sack, large enough for 2 people. It's basically a mylar blanket stitched together in a loop. You can crawl inside of it, keep yourself protected from the elements, and it'll help keep your body temperature up. Or a basic mylar sheet. These are what your first responders are typically going to have in an emergency situation. It's just a big silver mylar blanket that you can wrap around you. Both great options, very packable. This one's about $1, this one's about $3. Not a big expensive item, but something you should probably consider carrying in your pack if you're not carrying a tarp or a tent. Let's talk about navigation real quick. Navigation is often an overlooked item when you're out on a standard trail or just a couple of hour adventure. But it's important to always have some form of navigation with you. A lot of folks now are using electronic navigators. I personally use my phone. I will download a map of the area I'm at, and I save it as a screenshot in the event that I lose signal. It's a great source of figuring out how to get from point A to point B safely. Another great item to always have in your kit is a little mini compass. Practice your compass skills before you head out on the trail, and it could be a lot more fun. Let's talk about proper hydration and nutrition. It is amazing how many calories you're going to consume and how much water you're going to need to drink when you're out on a heavy hike. I am a firm believer in snacks, so I always have a bag full of extra grab-and-go snacks. I like my simple protein bars and always carrots. Carrots are a great nutritional source. They don't weigh you down, and they give you that extra energy that you need. When it comes to water, I'm a firm believer in bringing a filter with you. That way you're never limited by the amount of water you can carry. Now, depending on where you're hiking, you may not have access to a water source, and you may need to plan accordingly. General rule of thumb, bring a liter for every couple of hours, or make sure you have a filter with you. All right, you knew we were going to have this talk. Let's talk about poop. Poop happens. There's nothing to be embarrassed about it. Everybody has to go number 2 sometimes, and you never know when that's going to happen, so we need to plan accordingly. Some locations require you to pack it in and pack it out, and that involves carrying what's called a wag bag. Pretty self-explanatory. You use the bag, you pack it up, you pack it out with you. Now, if you're in a location that allows a cat hole, that's a much simpler process. And that's going to involve a basic shovel and then some kind of a sanitary kit after the fact. I'm not going to go into a great level of detail. I did a video about it last year. I'll leave a link here for it. The basics are dig your hole, do your business, clean up after yourself. I like to always keep baby wipes and a bar of soap with me, just because you never know when you're going to want to wash up. That's not necessarily when you use the facilities, but sometimes the trail is dirty, and it doesn't mean you have to stay dirty. Carry your essential items with you, plan accordingly, and clean up after yourself. This is by no means a fully comprehensive I've tried this at least 4 times. Comprehensive. I wish I knew an alternative word. This is by no means a comprehensive list of the items you have to have with you at all times, but it is a great basic start for building out a hiking kit. And hopefully we were able to take some of the mystery out of it and build up a little bit more confidence for you to get out there and start your own hiking adventures. If you have additional items that you're curious about, leave some comments below and we'll try and add that into one of the next videos. But until next time, folks, get outside, go have an adventure, and we'll see you on the trail. Should have talked about bear spray. I just saw some fresh bear poop. Bring bear spray.